Hey guys, this is Harshita, your host for the day, and I hope I'm very clearly audible to you all. So just let me know in the chat section and then we can proceed with the event. Just let me know if I'm audible to you all. Great, great. Hi guys, this is Harshita, your host for the day, and I hope you are doing a great and staying safe. So, I welcome you all to yet another session to help you hone your knowledge and learn and do better in your professional lives. So, today we are going to learn all about diagonal blends in lettering. So, today's event is brought to you by Print Shop by Designhill, a leading creative print on demand marketplace where you can discover and buy 50 plus unique products, gifts, artworks created by the artists all around the world. So, moving ahead, we have with us Francesca. So, I would like to thank Francesca, who has taken out the time from her busy schedule to be here and help us with her amazing tips and tricks. So, let me introduce our speaker for the day. So, Francesca is a 33-year-old Italian girl who is an event manager and an amateur lettering artist. She has always loved the shape of letters, starting from graffiti in high school to learning strokes and blendings from incredible artists on Instagram. Francesca has decided to try it out by herself, and in these years, she has virtually met some beautiful letterers and artists from all around the world and received a lot of love and support from many artists. So at this moment, lettering is not her business, but she hopes one day she'll turn this hobby into her job. So, wow, Francesca, I welcome you here. So, want to say a quick hi to our audiences?
Hello to everybody. Thank you for joining. First of all, I would like to thank you, Designhill, for this opportunity. I'm very excited because it's the first time I doing a workshop about lettering as a teacher, and I'm very happy to be here. Thank you.
So are we, Francesca. So great, guys. So before we start the session, here's a big announcement for you all. We are giving away the certificates to all the attendees who will stick till the end of the session. So you just cannot miss on this chance and stay tuned till the end. And you can also take the screenshot of this event, put it on your Instagram stories, tag Design Hill and Francesca, whose Instagram handle will be there in the chat section in a while. And one lucky winner will have a chance to win a print shop gift card worth $50. So, having said that, let's quickly look at what Print Shop by Design Hill is all about. So, all right, guys, that was all about Pen Shop, and now we are all set to start the session. So, guys, if you have any questions you would like to ask Francesca, do put them in the questions tab. It's just beside your chat section, and we have also rolled out a few polls, so you can just answer them too. And Francesca, all over to you. You are on mute, Francesca.
Yes, I am ready to start.
Great. So you have joined by your third device also. So just put on your camera and we'll be here.
Yes. The camera is already opened, but I don't know why. Okay.
We can just try it once again.
Yes,
And
I
yes,
think now it's okay.
great.
Okay. Okay, so let's get started. Today we'll make a lettering work with diagonal blends. That is the topic of this workshop. I took some examples by my past works with diagonal blends. As you can see, this is one, another one, another one. We'll do something like this. As you can see, I divided the work, the letters, into some diagonal sections, and I colored each section with one color, and finally I blend them. Okay. So the first thing, the first suggestion I can do is to have a paper, a watercolor paper with a great quality, because your blending could be great with a watercolor paper with a good quality. And I don't suggest, for example, a very smooth paper, because the colors can't blend to each other. So the first thing is to have a good paper. Now we can create the base of our composition. I chose a sentence composed by 3 words. Actually, I made a poll on Instagram in the last days, and you chose this sentence, this quote. It is follow your dreams. And we will write this quote into 3 different lines, okay? 3 different horizontal lines. I always use the pencil before the brush pen, because if I don't center one word, or more simply I make some mistakes, I could fix them. So I'm going to write the words, the quote. I don't know if the pencil sign is clear, maybe not, but I use the gray brush pen after that. Okay, I brought the word with my pencil. When I'm satisfied with the result, I can use a light gray brush pen on my pencil signs. But before to do this, I usually gently erase the pencil signs, especially if I use a juicy brush pen. Otherwise, I could make some noisy spots, some disasters when I erase the sign after lettering with my brush pen. So I erase it. Okay. And I finally use my gray brush pen. I chose this one. It's from Karin Markers. It's the color is gray. It's not too dark, and at the same time is not too light. So it's perfect, I think, for in my humble opinion, for the base. Of course, I think you know that, but you have to push when you go down to add some pressure when you go down with your letters and with your strokes, and you have to put less pressure when you go up.
Towards the upwards.
Yes.
Francesca,
Okay.
our attendees are not
Yeah.
able to see it clearly. So, can we just change a bit of our lighting so that everything is visible clearly?
Yeah. It's better like this.
Actually, no.
I,
Nothing
yeah.
is visible except your Y.
Sì, apri. Ah, meno, molto meno. Ok. Mm. You will probably be able to see the other colors better than this one. I
Yeah, till
put
the
my
time
hand for the shadow
you're
to create
showing the
some
shadow.
shadow.
Till the time there is
Yes.
some shadow, our attendees are able to see it. Otherwise, it's quite difficult.
Okay.
Uh,
Okay. This is our base. Okay, you have now to wait some minutes to let the letters dry. In this, I can suggest you some other colors for the base because I think the best color for the base is gray, of course. But for example, if you will color your letters with yellow or red or orange, for example, you can also use some color, some very pale yellow, just like this one. It's almond. It's okay. Or this one by Tombow. It is a very, very pale and very pale yellow. Or, for example, if you will color your letters with pink or purple or blue, you can choose, for example, a base colored by pink, a pale pink, or a pale violet or purple. Okay. Now I think our base is dry, and that's going on with our composition. I think that diagonal blending is is perfect for any kind of composition for short and long sentences because you can use very different colors to create some interesting effects. Also opposite colors, and in fact today we'll use opposite colors to create the blends. So now we have to create some diagonal section dividing our composition. There are no rules, but I can suggest creating the same number of sections and horizontal lines. So for example, here we have three horizontal lines. So we will create three diagonal sections. The reason is simply because if I create too many diagonal sections, I'd risk that each section will be too narrow, and some colors of the palette I choose will maybe disappear. For example, if I use yellow, and on one side I got a very dark blue or a very dark or a very strong red, my yellow could disappear. So that's going on, and we'll create some diagonal section. I prefer to use the ruler, as you can see, because I'm not very good in doing lines without it. So if you want to create 3 sections, as in this case, we'll do 2 diagonal lines, just like this. Okay, 1. Okay, it's not very, maybe you don't see the lines because they are very, very light. But it's not important that the lines have the same distances in every part of them, but they have to be parallel. Okay, now we can erase our pencil signs outside the letters, leaving just the signs inside the letters. So for example, here the line is crossing here our R, and we erase this part outside our R and leave a light sign on the letter, because we want to see where we have to change the color. Okay, I can retrace some of the diagonal blends on my letter because I wrongly erase some of them. So I'll retrace the line. Okay. Now we have to choose now our palette of colors. To choose the perfect combo, I can suggest 3 different ways. The first one is perfect, for example, when your sentence or quote has a particular theme or a topic. For example, if your sentence is about sunset, you could choose one yellow, a dark pink or red, a purple and blue to recreate the sunset. Okay, if you, for example, have another sentence such as, for example, one in a melon, that is a wordplay, not one in a million, one in a melon, watermelon. You can choose, for example, green and red, and leave the middle part with in white. So you can blend the color, recreating a watermelon. The second way to choose your palette is to get the inspiration by some websites. For example, I usually use, I don't know if you know it, Color Hunt. That is perfect because it contains a lot of combinations of color, and it's very, very inspiring because some of the combinations are very unusual, but very interesting, very cool at the same time. And then the last way to recreate your palette is to follow the theory of colors and the color wheel in particular. I show you a color wheel. This is a color wheel. Okay. A good way to create a combo is to choose different shades of the same hue or of the same color. For example, I could choose, for example, one very pale, one very light purple, one darker purple, and the darkest purple you have in your between your colors, among your colors, sorry. Or another way is to use some colors next to each other. So, for example, purple, pink, and blue, in this case, or orange, yellow, and apple green. Okay. But if you want to try something different, you could choose some opposite colors. as we'll see today, because as I said, our kind of blending, the diagonal blending, is perfect to blend together some opposite colors. Okay, so if you have, for example, two colors to choose, you could choose, for example, one red, a tone of red, a hue of red, and green. Merry Christmas. These are very, very Christmas colors. Or, for example, yellow and purple. Okay, I love this combination, by the way, because I love purple and yellow together, especially if yellow is actually gold. But we have three colors, sorry, today. So I chose yellow, red, and blue, light blue. Okay, I'm taking these three colors by cutting markers again. Okay, I chose lipstick red, a gold yellow, and a cool aqua, and I'm putting the yellow in the middle. Okay, so we can finally color our letters and blend them. First of all, we can write the color we use in each section on our paper. For example, in this case, in the higher section, I use the red. Okay, red. In the middle, I use yellow. And in the lower section, I use blue. Sorry, blue without a E is Italian. Okay, now I'm taking the first color I have to use, that is red, and I color my letters. There is another way to do this, that is to put our color in a plate, and after that to bring a brush and to use the brush on our letters, but to create a more delicate tone, more delicate color. But today we want to be strong, so I use directly on the paper our red. Okay, when we arrive at the first diagonal blend, we have to change our color. So we have to take yellow in this case, because the middle section is yellow. And I start writing the letter. In this case, I'm crossing another diagonal line. So here I have to use red again. I prefer to write one letter, not one letter at a time, but one part of the word at a time, for two reasons, mainly for two reasons. The first is that in this way I can blend the colors when they aren't dry yet, are wet, are still wet. Okay, and the second one is because I'm a disaster, and if I write this word, I could put my hand on the letters and create some noisy spots and some disaster. So, ready here? Okay. To create the perfect blending, I can suggest not to create like these very sharp borders, okay, very sharp borders, but I can suggest to bring one color toward the other. So, for example, in this case, okay, you could create some lines some yellow lines toward red, and some red lines toward our yellow, and the same here. Okay. Now, the blending moment. Okay. I use in this session two tools for blending. The first one is the most common tool, that is brush, one brush. And the other one is water pen, okay? The brush is perfect when you want to create the perfect blends, but I think the water pen is perfect if you want to create some more watery blends. I'll show you in in a few time. So we start with the brush. Okay. The one important thing is that the tip of your brush and or of your water pen is small. Especially if you are a beginner, because it's simpler to use a small tip than a larger one. Okay, so we use our brush and we put it into the water, a glass full of water, and remove the excess of water. Okay, and start blending. Okay, the other letter. As you can see, if your paper is very good in quality, it's very easy to blend. Okay. Okay. And we could keep on with our composition. We are in the middle section, so we are using yellow again. And we finish with yellow because the last diagonal line, sorry, is not crossing our W, so we can finish it with yellow. Okay, and we finished the first word. Now, let's go on with the second word. Okay, so we will use the red again. Okay, and the same here. With no, don't want a sharp borders, so we do some lines towards the other color, that is yellow again. Pay attention when your diagonal line, sorry, cross your letter, because sometimes I forget to pay attention to this. So I keep on using the brown color for the section. In this case, this section was the red one. So okay, and I finished the letter here. Okay, perfect. And now no sharp borders, so the line, some line towards the other color. Okay, and now I'm going to use the other tool. I mentioned it before. Here, this is the water pen. You can actually use the water pen into two different ways. The first way is to use it just like the brush. In this way, of course, without putting it into the water, because the water is already contained into the body of your water pen. So the same you did earlier with your brush. you can do it now with your water pen. Okay. The problem is that if I put my hand on the letters, colored letter, I'd risk to make a disaster with the colors. So, okay. As you can see, this blend is quite nice. Okay, like fire. Okay, now our O is there is the line, the diagonal line crossing our O here in at the top of our O. So we put a little bit of red here, and the rest of the letter we could, for the rest of the letter we could use yellow. Okay, and blend it. I use again the water pen. Okay. U is in the middle line, in the middle section, sorry, so is entirely yellow. And here we arrived at our last diagonal line, so we have to change our color into the last color, that is cool aqua, that is blue, light blue. Okay, so some lines towards the yellow, and here I'm using our water pen in the other way, okay, by pushing the body of our water pen here and leave a drop of water falling down on your letter in this way. I don't know if it's feasible, maybe not, but I left one drop falling down on my letter. And in this way, you can create a very watery blend. And it's a pretty cool effect, and you can admire it when, especially when your letters will be dried. As you can see in the blending point, the color blend in a really good way. So we are creating another color that is green, of course. Okay. So
Great,
the
guys.
last.
I'm so sorry, Francesca. I'm just interrupting in between. Well, I guess this is going really amazing. I hope you guys are enjoying the session. And before we move ahead, can we take a few of the questions of our attendees?
Okay.
So yes, there is a first question from Sarah. She's asking, is that base marker are special for base only? The gray marker you
Sorry?
use, the gray marker you use,
The gray, okay.
that's only used for the base
Yes.
marker?
No, not only, I don't use these markers only for the base, but you can use it, for example, for the to create the shadow. In fact, at the end of this section, we will create some shadow with the same marker we use for the base. So, or to create some gray, some lettering with grays, with for example, with the different tones of gray. There are many tones, many hue of gray, and I think gray together with maybe black is a perfect combination for your compositions too.
Great, Sarah. So I guess your question has been answered. And talking about the base only, there's next question from Christina. She is asking, can we use normal markers in blending, or there is some special markers made only for blending?
Okay, there are many different brands that produce this kind of markers. For example, I love Karin markers. The important thing is that the markers are not alcohol based, but they are water based. Okay, because otherwise, if they are alcohol based, you can't blend. Them. So it's impossible. So I usually use sorry for the wordplay. I usually use a curry marker because they are very juicy, and I love them for blending. I think they are very perfect. But you can also, for example, use tombos or lyras. There are many more or less expensive kind of brushes, but the important thing is that they are water based.
Great. So I guess, Margaret, your question has also been answered in this question only. So I'll just skip your question. And taking up the last question for now is, do you always start with a light color to dark tones or dark to light?
Yes, I always started with the color for the light color for the base because for me it's simpler. But if you want to use directly the colors on your pencil sign, is it possible to? Is possible to, of course. But I think if you create the base with a light gray or light color in general, is very simpler, and it could really help and make the difference. Yes.
Great, guys. So, guys, don't forget to put your questions in the questions tab. I'll just take your questions at the end of the session now. And moving ahead, I would like to give a quick shout out to Print Shop by Designhill for organizing this event. And I hope you guys are taking the screenshot of this event and putting it in your Instagram stories and tagging Designhill and Francesca. And all right, so having said that, let's quickly take a quick break of 1 minute and keep this interesting workshop going on. So stay tuned. We'll be back to hear more from Francesca.
I've always been creative and always been an artist. As a young girl, I used to paint rocks and I used to sell them for a quarter on the street. And I just fell in love with it. It just grew into a passion of mine. I started looking on the web and I came across Designhill, and they had a design contest to design a logo, and I entered it and I won. And I was like, oh, this is really great. I can pick and choose what type of logos or design projects I want to work on. And it allows me to be creative, keep my hands, with my tools and working. So it's kind of nice. It's really easy to use. You can scroll through the projects and there's sections that you could go by. It's really easy. There's a few clients who have come back to use the one-on-one projects. There's one client in particular, she owns a vintage shop, and I designed her logo, and she came back. She needed a design for a flyer, and she really liked the illustrations that I did for her, so she came back a couple of times with projects. I would recommend it, especially if you're a designer that's starting out and you want to learn from other designers, seasoned designers. It's a place to keep in the game and keep using your tools. It makes me feel great, and it kind of confirms that I should be doing this. And I love to see logos that I've designed out, and proud of that. And I think that the clients are so happy that their logo represents what they do and makes them look good. It's a collaboration. It's good for me, and it's definitely good for them.
All right, guys, we are back again with our awesome guest, Francesca. Guys, don't forget to answer your questions and answer our polls too. So, Francesca, all over to you once again.
Yes. Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Okay, let's move on with our last word. We use, sorry, I gonna to make a mistake because I'm using the red color, but our middle section is yellow, of course. So we color the letter with yellow again until our diagonal line, where I change my color with the last color we choose. And here yellow again. So I was saying pay attention to these diagonal lines, because sometimes it's very easy to lose them. So the blending moment. I'm keep on using the water pen, but you can use the brush pen, your brush again. Okay. And now we have finished, because the last part is all with the light blue. So we finish our words and our blending, and that's it. But now we can add some final details, such as, for example, as I said before, the shadows. Okay, so as I said, I'm using the same color, the same gray I used before for the base. So cool gray again. Okay, there are two ways to do the shadow on your letters. We can connect the shadows to our letters, or to leave a little space between them. I usually prefer this last way, especially if our colors are very juicy and not very dried, as in this case. Because you risk to color the gray of the shadow with the colors of your letters. So the gray could become red in this case, not yellow, because yellow is really light, but red in this case for the higher section, or blue for the lower section. So. As you can see, I'm leaving a little bit of space here between the letter and the shadow. The shadow, you can add the shadow just on one side, okay? Because you have to imagine that the light, in this case, come on this way, by this way. So the shadow are on the opposite side. Okay. So, for example, we don't have to do the shadow here, but only on this side, on the opposite side of the light source. Sometimes it's a boring work, this one, to add the shadow at the end of your lettering, because it's the moment you could do the disaster, because if you put your hand on your letters when they aren't already completely dried, you can do some noisy spots and something like this. So pay attention where you put your hand. When the space is very narrow, as in this case, I prefer to do a little bit of shadow, to create a little bit of shadow, but to leave the other space white, because otherwise I risk to connect the shadow to the letter. Okay, last word. As in this case, I connected this shadow to the letter, but it's not a problem here because the color is very light. In this case, it's the yellow one, so it's not a problem. I didn't drag the color on the shadow, the color of the letter on the shadow. Here we have no space, so no shadow. Okay, we finished. Another detail you can add to your composition is, for example, some decorations, some drawings in the white, in the empty spaces. Okay, for example, some shining spots. In this case, to do that, I suggest to use the same color of the section of the sections you did. So, for example, in this case, if I want to draw some details on decoration here, okay, here that is an empty space. I use not yellow but light blue, because this section is blue. Okay, so I can draw, for example, this decoration, another one, and another one, just like some light spots. Another decoration, for example, here I have an empty space here, so I'm using yellow because this section is yellow. And the last decoration here. Okay, so to complete our work, we can maybe add the last decoration here, because we want another decoration, red decoration. I'm trying to not to put my hand on the letters, on the wet letters. Okay, sorry, this is very, very ugly, but it's not a problem. Okay, we finished. You can add also, for example, some highlights with an acrylic pen. For example, I usually use this one. The important thing is that it's acrylic, because otherwise you could not see it on your colors. But I'm not a big fan of highlights, because when I do them, I usually ruin my work. So I think it's perfect like this, and we finished our blending work.
And
Do you
Francesca,
like
it's
it?
looking really, really pretty. And in such a short span of time you did so well with telling all the techniques and everything. I just knew about the water pen and the brush, but not the techniques of the water pen that you told us. So that's really, really great. I hope our attendees have learned a lot from you. And there is one more question from
So,
our attendees.
okay.
He's asking about what quality or type of paper do you recommend based on your experience?
What quality of paper?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. As I said, I suggest a watercolor paper, of course, not a smooth paper, but a paper with the texture of some textures, some texture, and you have to pay attention also to another thing, that is to use your paper uh, on the right side, because the watercolor paper has two sides, of course, one front and the other side, and one side usually is smoother, and the other side is more textured. I don't know the term in English, but it's textured. And the right side to use for your blending, the perfect side to use for your blending is the more textured one.
Great. So is there any brand you would like to tell us from which brand that best
Yes,
colored textured paper is?
brand. The brand of the paper, yes. I usually use Canson paper because they are very, very perfect for blending, and they are not so expensive as other kind of paper. And so I think they are perfect for this kind of work. So, Canson.
Great. And we have got so many advices and the thank you so much sort of text in our chat section. People are saying that your art was really, really beautiful and they loved it. So that's a great sign. And next, my question to you is one of the registrant asked this. Uh, what are the common mistakes a letterer or a calligrapher should avoid in just the initial stage of their career? What are the common mistakes?
Sorry?
What are the common mistakes a person should avoid as a beginner?
Mistakes. Okay.
Yes.
I didn't understand the word mistake. Okay. The most common mistake for a beginner, I think, well, at the beginning you have to learn many things. I think, in my humble opinion, that blending is maybe the easiest thing to do, but the harder thing to do, especially at the beginning, is to pay attention to the shape of your letters and to find your own style. Because at the beginning, for example, I used to copy the style of the other artists. But for example, I took a class of lettering, of brush lettering, at the beginning of my experience of my lettering journey. But the teacher, that was an amazing teacher, very great artist, but it has a more street style, and it's not my style. So I tried to copy his style, but my work looked not very good. And with the practice, I started practicing every day. And with the practice, I found out finally my style. And I think this is the hardest thing to do at the beginning. So maybe the mistake is to copy the style of the other artists, not looking for your own style.
That's really great. So we can just explore, we can take the inspiration, but we should of course never copy. And that's where, while the exploration part, that's where you can find your way of styling it. Great. So, all right, guys, this brings us to the end of this wonderful, wonderful session with Francesca. And this was indeed a value packed session. Although there is a lot more we could have covered and learned, but unfortunately, we are limited by time here. So, I hope you guys love this session because I personally did. Once again, I would like to thank Francesca for taking out the time and being the part of this event. So, any last thoughts, Francesca? Any suggestions for our attendees related to the technology or the courses or anything?
Any other suggestion? Yes, maybe I can suggest to practice every day because it's the best way you can do to improve your lettering, to improve your style, to find your own style, and this is the best suggestion I can do, I think.
Great, guys. So, guys, this is not where it ends. If you're interested and you love this session, we have a lot more events coming up right next. So you can just register to our events, wherein you can go to our events page. The link will be there in the chat section. You can just register there. You can also subscribe there so that you could know if any of the upcoming events are there. You could know in your chat section and in your mails too. So we have also launched a Learn page to feed your inspiration and creativity and multiply your business and creative growth 10 times by learning tips, hacks, growth stories, expert advice from the industry's best. So do visit our Learn page also. The link will be in the chat section. And on that note, I would like to say goodbye to everyone who have joined us here today. Take care, guys. Stay safe.